We got this from the Post Millennial. Supreme Court declines to enforce Biden-Harris Title IX gender identity protections. The injunction against the ruling will stay in effect for now. They say in a 5-4 decision, the Supreme Court denied the Biden-Harris administration efforts to demand the changes to Title IX go into effect. The DOE, under the Education Secretary Miguel Cardona, issued new rules making sweeping changes to Title IX of the Civil Rights Act, which equates equality in education. Those changes conflated biological sex with gender identity, making it so that protections set aside for women would also encompass men who said they're women, which is just like eliminates protections for women. So this is the funny thing about this. Democrats are basically saying that they want to remove protections for women, but they don't want to say it because that would be anti-equality or whatever, I guess.
Yeah.
And they're getting the woman vote this time around. That more than anything, they're just getting women.
Obviously.
I don't know why women vote for this stuff.
Yeah, why do women see a female president and are like, I have to vote for her? I feel some sort of weird call of sisterhood. Like, I just will never be able to relate to this.
Well, I think it also kind of sucks because if she were to win, God forbid, if she were to win, I can't imagine us putting another woman president anytime soon. I mean, it's going to be a disaster. Like, I just think it would ruin any chances of any future, like, competent candidates.
What if it's just like a utopia? Like Kamala gets in, and then all of a sudden the war's all end.
Well, then screw all of us. Then we were wrong. Then
I retire and apologize.
We have no finger on any pulses. Then it's just
no, because it would be a utopia where it's like Kamala's version of a utopia. Kamala, her version of a utopia, right? Like where all of the issues are for like things that you care about if you're conservative, they don't matter, right? Like everyone can have an abortion and we have tons of debt, but hey, we're giving you stuff for free because taxes are crazy high, but that's actually okay because we've expanded the social safety net. Like, I just don't believe that she has the kind of vision for America where ultimately, like every administration get one thing right. Like Biden wants the CHIPS Act, like there's always something. But generally, I think that the direction she represents for the Democratic Party is one that does not have anything in common with just general American values.
Even Democrats. That's why even like today I've seen like multiple headlines, CNN, I think Washington Post, they're low-key kind of calling her a communist right now, which is kind of shocking.
That was funny. CNN's been roasting her like crazy.
Yeah.
There's one thing where they're like her policy on the housing just increased the cost of every house by claiming she's going to give government money for housing. Yeah. That doesn't work. You can't do that. Mm-hmm. So she's burning it all down. I will say this though, I was watching her speech earlier, and I know Trump's doing well in polls. Trump's got a couple polls coming out recently that are doing well. So it's yet to be seen. But the two distinct campaign strategies, Kamala, she said, we're the party of the future. Trump's the party of the past. Here's what we're going to focus on in the future. Trump comes out and says, Kamala did this, that, and this. And so it really is Trump saying Kamala did bad things as a warning to what she will keep doing. And Kamala is ignoring that because she needs to, and then saying, here's what we want for the future. I think it'll be interesting to see how this actually resonates with people. Kamala's trying to define herself as we need a better economy. We need, have better healthcare, things like this. And Trump's trying to say, yeah, but look at what she's actually done. Mm-hmm. I wonder what's going to resonate more with people. Saying, I want good thing, or Trump saying that person did bad thing.
I think that there's a mix of both. I think voters actually want a hopeful, positive president. But I think the Harris campaign's messaging is very similar to the Biden campaign messaging. Biden would also say, we're the party of the future and we're the party of hope. And then he would turn around and be like, January 6th and MAGA extremists and this. Like, it's actually a deeply negative campaign.
Yeah.
I think it's different to say, like, Kamala Harris is currently in the White House, and this is our current situation. So if she doesn't take accountability, she cannot promise to be accountable in the future, which I think is what Trump is really doing. And I generally do think that ever since its inception, the MAGA movement, the Make America Great Again, is inherently hopeful and optimistic in a way that I haven't seen, at least the Biden-Harris campaign or the Harris-Walz campaign. They have never offered that to voters.
Yeah. Also, I think it's important to look at the context for which people, did somewhat.
You want to be burdened by the context?
It's important to exist in the context of, but the context of the 2020 election was a lot of despair. Like, people were watching the results as they were locked down in their homes, waiting for a vaccine to appear, whether they wanted it or not, right? It's like riots all summer and then an election. People were very hopeless. So someone coming in and offering hope was, I think, what won people over. But Kamala can't do that. She can't come in and offer hope when it was her policies that have not put people in, a lower disposition, a bad position. So I just don't see it working. And I think people are just inherently better at seeing through that now too.
And the way Biden talked to, I don't know how much you guys watched of Biden's speech during this joint appearance in Maryland that they just had, but a lot of the way that Biden talked about Harris was as if to say, like, this is just a continuation of my campaign and my administration. He said, like, basically he's worked too hard and we can't give up the fight now. I mean, he is very clear that she is a part of his administration and the things that he has fought for and the programs that he has installed and the methods he's rolled out to try and help America, shout out for the inflation and the lack of affordability. These will continue with Harris. And I'm sure she doesn't want that, but that's the reality. Like, people are never going to be able to separate her from Biden. And if you think Biden did a bad job, there's no reason to think that Kamala would do better.
Which no one really thinks he did a good job, left or right, I feel like. And I feel like he's sabotaging her by, of course, trying to equate her with the administration because he's trying to save his own legacy, obviously. So it's these conflicting, there's just not a lot of unity on that side right now. Like all of her events get protested by, Palestine people, and Biden saying, yes, she was part of these policies that I say are good, but Americans know are bad. There's not a lot of cohesive messaging.
Do you think the Democrats would be in a stronger position if they had spent the last couple of weeks having lots of Democrats vie and campaign for the top position on the ticket, and then at this upcoming convention, like, actually had an open convention and vote, rather than installing Kamala Harris?
I don't know. I can't say. I feel like this is probably the best plan B for just rolling Biden through and somehow hiding the fact that he was a corpse, because I mean, she is number two. It makes sense. And
she is a number two.
Yeah, she's literally number two.
Oh, what? No, I didn't mean it like that. Guys, you're mean.
Wait, is there a joke I'm not getting?
I'm kidding.
Okay. Oh, maybe I'm autistic.
Maybe Tim is in the third.
It's a poop joke. Okay.
No, I wonder.
I don't know. I can't say.
No, it's impossible to say we're hypothesizing about things that we'll never know at this point. But I always wonder, if they had wanted to rally support, if having a show of, like, we have all these people coming out to make their case, like seeing these kind of micro rapid primary campaigns, and then having next week be people on stage arguing out, if Democrats would feel empowered and united, and at the end they'd be like, this is the guy, we picked him. Because in some ways, I understand why they were like, we have to have unity as fast as possible. So it's going to be Kamala Harris, and no one's going to challenge her. And we're just, the only thing close to a competition was who she was going to pick to VP, which of course voters didn't get a say on, or at least Democratic voters didn't get a say on. But without that theater of politics of having people make their case and campaign and argue, Democrats are have less stake in the game right now. And that's why, again, they have to hammer home this, like, no, it's the end of democracy if you don't come out in support of Kamala Harris. But if they had made it so, like, look, there was this crazy rapid battle for Democrats who came out of everywhere, and this is the guy, like, that would have, I think, built a different kind of authentic momentum.
It certainly would have, aligned them closer with their purported values of democracy. Like, I if you haven't noticed, it's like they had Tourette syndrome with the word democracy. They couldn't even speak one word without using the word our democracy, the phrase our democracy. Now they don't even use a word anymore. It feels like it had like 100% decline in use. So it would have been more authentic for sure. But I just think they were scattered after Trump didn't get taken out. And
what's crazy to me is that the people who are to be least affected by all of the failures of Biden and Kamala Waltz if they win, it's us. It's the people watching shows like this, right? I was mentioning this the other day on September 13th, I think it was, I made a video where I was like, Biden will not be the nominee. I outright said it. And I was like, they're already talking about replacing him. Nancy Pelosi says he's probably going to drop out. The guy can't speak properly. I don't know how he actually ends up running. How he could be the nominee. It's got to be someone else. If at that point, and I had my doubts, don't get me wrong, like into March, I was like, I guess it's going to be him because the Ohio thing, like, I don't know how they replace him at this late in the game. But if in September you were watching my show and you were just like, I'm going to make a bet that Tim is right now, that he's guessing, it's his prediction, I mean, your bet would have paid off huge. At that point, it was like 9-1 for Biden. And so when Kamala and Biden screw policies up and they burn things to the ground, and you watch informative news shows, and it's like, I don't know, the contract for beans from our bean importer is gone, so there won't be beans tomorrow. People are going to go out and they're going to stock up on groceries and food. And then a week later, the news will report that stores are out of food. And, ultimately, my point is it's kind of like, it just feels we're trying so hard to make sure everybody knows so that we can have a better functioning system. But the people who are voting for Kamala Harris are the most likely to end up struggling. And we're watching it happen right now. It is Democrats who largely did not switch parties, who voted for Joe Biden in 2020, who are suffering now. And Kamala goes, food is up and gas up. And they're like, yeah. It's like, do you remember you voted for her? And what are you saying now? Okay, well, at a certain point, I'm kind of like, I know the people who are watching this show and who do frequent it, they're going to be okay. If Kamala is handed a box of matches to burn the country to the ground, like, it'll suck for everybody, but we're going to be all right because we're going to see the fire coming and we're going to run to safety.
Yeah.
But the people who voted for are the ones who are really going to get ruined by this.
Yeah, because they're not prepared.
Kind of
Right.
reminds me of all the stuff in 2020. It's like, yeah, lockdowns affected everyone if you were living in a place that were locked down, which was almost everywhere in the country. But just being in the mental headspace of like, I will defy certain, ordinances and orders just because I need to preserve my sanity and I need to live my life. Democrats were like not prepared to make a decision to preserve their own lives. Like, they were completely at the whim of policies they supported, whether their real selves knew it or not. I guess they don't have real selves. They're really just kind of NPCs. I don't know.
Thanks for watching this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to check out the live show Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. on this channel. Subscribe and we'll see you all there.